Hello everyone, welcome. We're here today with Jason from Nottingham City Council. Jason, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello everyone, my name is Jason Goodin. I'm Head of Parking, Fleet and Transport Services at Nottingham City Council.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm okay, very hot today. We seem to be having very good weather.
Yeah, summer is finally here. Hopefully it sticks around. Unfortunately, COVID is also still a topic. How has things been progressing, especially with parking since we last spoke last year?
It's been very challenging. I think from last year we were sort of thinking hopefully we'll come in. There's some sort of way out of this sooner than we expected. We've just come out of a national lockdown and been working our way towards what was on Monday was called Freedom Day in the UK, which was a little bit strange because our Prime Minister and a number of key ministers were also self-isolating. It's been challenging, but we're on the road to recovery. From a parking point of view, we've been monitoring our income obviously daily and watching as the lockdown has gradually been relaxed. We've seen quite significant recovery, although we're still looking to probably be around 80% of pre-COVID levels once we're through, probably towards the end of this financial year.
All right, and as you just mentioned, you had that Freedom Day, things are opening up, there's minimal restrictions in the UK, especially compared to some places around the world. Have you seen that progress, positive progress also with parking?
Probably the best way to look at that is when we came out of national lockdown, we were looking at around, just in a Nottingham instance, we were getting about 9,500 transactions a week in the parking service, which, significantly down on where we used to be around 60 to 70,000 transactions a week. So that was coming out of lockdown, but still non-essential shop businesses were closed. Pretty much it was only a sort of commuter market. What we then saw though was non-essential shops and businesses open, and we saw 153% increase. So very quickly we've seen each of the lockdowns enables us to see a positive recovery as consumer confidence comes back. With non-essential shops, it was really good with the shopping that, but obviously you weren't allowed to eat or drink inside the shops in the UK in case. And then we saw hotel spas and eating indoors and drinking indoors of establishments. And again, around a 40% increase in our transactions. So we've gone from 9,000 up to 30,000 transactions a week in the city. Giving a bit of an indication of money-wise, we're probably around 60% of pre-COVID levels. So the final lockdown relaxation was obviously on Monday, where we had Freedom Day. But it's not really Freedom Day, and we're not back to normal. It's not as if COVID's gone away. I think we're spiking quite rapidly. Although our vaccination program does seem to be keeping people out of hospitals, it is certainly affecting us. The cities aren't open for business yet, like they were pre-COVID. We've got businesses adapting to the COVID relaxation, social distancing, face masks, coverings, and just some of the other instances is things like events. Although we're now saying that we can do events, the events programs aren't ready. So cities don't have, bands and other things going off, or theatres open anywhere near ready. So we're hoping as the autumn comes, we will see businesses then sort of get back to some normality, events programs, and also commuting. Commuting at the moment is very low in Nottingham and across the UK because for many people we're working from home, just like I am today. Although again, we're expecting around the autumn time businesses to adapt and to be looking to sort of bring back at least a proportion of commuters. So from a parking point of view, we don't have a very strong commuter market at the moment. Shops are recovering, but slowly. And then the evening trade is quite because events is a big thing. Nightclubs have opened as of Monday, so we will see probably more trade. But again, I think we've still got at least 40%. We're 40% down on pre-COVID levels.
All right. But at least, yeah, there's some progress. And last time as well, when we were discussing, you had mentioned the workplace parking levy that you have. It's quite special to all of Europe. I think you're the only city that provides that. With working from home being more of a norm, potentially also for the future, what kind of impact are you seeing there, and do you expect to see?
So it's an interesting question about the workplace parking levy, because that is linked to employers who provide commuter parking. And we've obviously seen with COVID a massive reduction in commuter parking, taking the levy down to around 25 to 30% of its pre-COVID levels at the start. But again, as the city recovers, as we come out of lockdown, we're seeing commuter numbers pick up, not to the extent of pre-COVID. We're looking to be around 68% of pre-COVID levels by year end this year, and then a gradual recovery over the next 3 years to pre-COVID levels. I think what's interesting though is that is currently a prediction. Reality will be in the autumn when we see employers finally get almost move to the new normal. Do you know what I mean? Will we be having working from home to the extent it is now? Will it be much more a hybrid model? And I think hybrid is probably the word that we're all hearing, that, it'll be a mixture of the two rather than being 100% everybody at home or everybody back in the office. I think the other big point for Nottingham is we have a very large student population, and the universities are currently still off. But again, we're looking at when they come back, the remote learning was not really that successful. And I think what we're going to see is a large student population back, which also means large staff numbers coming back. So from a levy point of view, they are one of the biggest employers. So I think we'll be back on recovery. I think it's shown the scheme to be very adaptable. It does raise a question, doesn't it? Is if people stay at home, do you need the same amount of public transport and parking provision as you had previously? Which I think is a question. It's a question. We don't have the answer at the moment, but I'm sure we will do in the coming months and years.
Okay, interesting. And you had mentioned that last year, especially when UK went into lockdown, that you're looking to take a different approach with on-street and off-street. How did that progress? And are you still looking at it differently as a council?
Yeah, we've certainly not been quiet during COVID. We've used that time to sort of look closely at our operations. For instance, on street, we're looking to reduce our parking pay and display machines by 50%, taking them out and retrofitting them with a contactless card payment solution. So at the moment, we don't have contactless payments. We do have card payments in the machines and cash. We're looking to make that predominantly contactless. Not just because of COVID, but obviously it gives you some future proofing against COVID. But just the fact that cash is now dwindling as a payment mechanism, we're still going to be keeping it in certain areas, but we have a lot of crime and theft in pay and display machines. Organised criminal gangs will come around and wreck a lot of machines, causing a lot of damage for a relatively small payout. So one of our ways of looking at this is using COVID, looking at the problems we've had in the past and the customer disruption, is actually switching to newer technology. And communicating with our customers to give them alternative options, such as we have things like PayPoint, where you can go to a local newsagent and pay for your parking, or prepaid cards. If you didn't want to use your own debit card, you can actually prepay. Or again, we always have Ringo, which is our cashless phone solution. So I think we're taking quite a lot of cost out of actual infrastructure on street and seeing technology sort of embraced. And it has helped with our older generation, because a lot of people were very reluctant to use things like contactless payments. But with COVID, it's sort of pushed everybody towards that sort of way, hasn't it? And people have become much more comfortable and confident. You did also mention off-street. We're doing the same thing in the multi-storey car parks. We're looking, although we've still got the machines, the pay on foot machines, we're looking at, we've got what's called tap in, tap out. So basically you can tap your debit card on the reader as you come into the car park, and you can tap on the way out, and it will give you a real-time charge to your account. We're just starting to market that now and sort of promote it as customers come back. And we've also launched an app, again, where it's called RH Parking in Nottingham, in line with Skidata, our provider. And that's another thing where we're starting to promote that because we can put offers in, rewards, and encourage people to move away from any sort of contact in the car park. One, that saves us money, but two, it also puts you into a COVID resilience point. It reduces things like antisocial behaviour, because if people aren't standing at a pay machine, you get a lot less begging around and in these areas, and that also attracts other things such as homelessness, drug taking, that with the central attraction, this sort of thing. We can reduce cash, and we can also increase footfall in and out of the car parking operations. We think there will be benefits again for customers and ourselves.
So would you say then COVID in a way helped push innovation and new technology implementations?
Yeah, I think we've always struggled trying to get people seem to pay in one particular way, and that's how they want to stay. So, I pay in cash, I'm not going to change to debit card. I pay a debit card, I'm not going to switch to a phone. If I pay with a phone, I don't want to use an app, I want to use voice recognition and so forth. So I think COVID has sort of put that up in the air and forced people to accept that technology is here. Contactless does work. It is safe, secure. You are protected. So I think COVID's enabled us to do that. The new normal. It's going to be interesting in a new city, isn't it? Just how will parking adapt? How will commuting adapt to that? And I think technology has got to be the way forward, because we're probably going to have to look long and hard at our parking supply and look at things like capacity, technology. Do you want expensive machines sitting there if footfall's down? I think things like apps and that are the future.
Yeah, and talking about the future, is there anything that you'd like to highlight that Nottingham City is looking into? Where do you see things heading?
The big one we're pushing at the moment is supporting other local authorities in Nottingham, in the UK, to look at introducing the workplace parking levy, because it fits very closely in with the carbon neutrality agenda that the government's rolling out, trying to move cities towards carbon neutrality, improving air quality. So at the moment in Nottingham, there's a lot of demand for our consultancy services, which I lead. Just supporting other local authorities to look at a way of managing congestion and generating local funding to improve public. It was originally public transport, but you're seeing a big swing on that towards active travel, air quality, and public transport and sustainability, with things like green cars coming in, as we move to electric. So I think that's a big one in Nottingham. From a parking point of view, I think we've got to look at parking bigger than city centres. I know we do look outside of city centres, but less so in charging, more in sort of managing with residents parking. I think we're going to look at different charging models, so things like cashless parking options for on-street, outside the city, so we don't put in expensive machines. We use technology and put in the regulations to enable us to sort of manage district centres and outside of the city. So I think we are adapting, but carbon neutrality is a real big theme that I think also parking's got to adapt to. We've got to almost look at the environmental impact it's having and not go anti-car, just try and work with it to manage the impact it has so it can be more sustainable for the future.
All right, Jason, thank you for the time. Fantastic to be learning more about these developments, and wish you all the best.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and see you next time.